every day. You will never be more offended than you'll be scrolling 3 times at your finger. You've been offended more than you've ever been on any other medium.
Well, especially in the Dabbleverse.
Yeah, that's true. The
The,
dreaded Dabbleverse.
apparently, there's clip things. Like these guys that go around, they're called clippers, and they look for specific shit just like this. So I'm giving these clip people. I don't know. I'm just learning to swim in the Dabbleverse, and I've been welcomed with open arms, kind of, but yes and no.
I tell you, if you're just learning to swim in the Dabbleverse, get out of the pool when as soon as you can. It is not a healthy place. It's not a place for good people. It's just not. It's
I'm
really
a very thin-skinned person. I'm very sensitive. I'm fucking sensitive, Anthony.
a hive of scum and villainy.
So I got, these people are going to be on this like a bum on a sandwich if I don't bring it up already. So the John thing, I don't understand like how the fallout went. You guys were actually friends for a while. He said that you guys played cards and shit like that.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing stems from something that has been said about John for quite some time. This isn't me making shit up or, just bringing up shit to turn the screw on him. We see how he reacts when someone busts his balls. And that's all we've ever done, is bust balls. As a comic, especially if you dabble in comedy, you would think you would know this. I watched some of the greatest in the game beat the living shit out of each other on the O&A show. I saw Rich Voss dismantling Patrice O'Neal at Caroline's on Broadway from the audience. Like Rich was in the audience yelling, "You suck, fuck you." Patrice is laughing his ass off because they're all comics. This is what comics do, bust balls. Now, John, on the other hand, when it was Artie and Anthony show for about 9 months, Artie said something, just a really nothing throwaway line to John, something to the effect, like, "Where'd you get that shirt out of the hamper?" or something like that. And John just goes, "Why don't you try to fucking yourself again by drinking bleach, you fanatic?" And we're all like, "Holy shit, dude. Like, how about a little balance here?" A little balance. So with me, he did a gig out one of the Carolines clubs, the brokerage out on Long Island. And we all went. And the next day on my show, someone said, "Hey, how was John's gig?" And I made the joke that I go, "Well, I was able to park like right up to the building. I was pretty much right next to the door," making a joke about the ample parking available because there weren't many people at the gig. Well, this motherfucker is supposedly a comic. He unloads and he starts, "Fuck that guy. He said last night at the gig, he said, 'Great job, John.'" And yeah, because that's what funny guys do with each other. They fucking bust their balls. They goof on them. And that fuck cannot take it. And then he'll go from 0 to 150 in a second and think it's somehow justified. "Hey, Pocky, this, that." He comes up with his little nicknames. And at that point, I was just like, all right, go fuck yourself. I don't need a guy that's as volatile as this over, something we've all done our whole lives, busting balls. Take a little self-deprecation, take a little deprecation from other people in this business, and lighten the fuck up.
Yeah, I can see that because I guess it's not coming from Howard, so maybe
Right.
it's you can't do that kind of situation where who are you to insult me, not realizing read the room and see that you're with other comics and that's the way it goes.
Right.
And so what was the moment that you just said, "I'm sick of this guy, I'm done"?
It was after, I guess, after the day I goofed on him on my show and goofed on the fact that there weren't many people at the guy. I didn't make that up. There weren't a lot of people at the brokerage that night. And as a guy that does a comedy show, I was going to talk about it. I'm not going to bullshit. After that, he started saying, coming out with all the same shit about me and shit talking me, not in a funny way either. Like, that's what John does. yourself again, drink bleach, stab yourself, you an addict, to Artie. And Artie's like sitting there. He does the same thing to everybody. If he feels, use the word, he attacked me. Like, no, we're just being guys that have to have a little bit of a thicker skin than he has. So when Poker Mike, who happened to be in the car with John when they were listening to my synopsis of his gig, he just said John exploded. He was so pissed. He was shit talking me. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need to be in any type of friendship or acquaintance or business relationship with a guy that's this fucking psycho volatile like that. And it just got worse. And then when I started seeing other people clipping his show and pointing out some of these ridiculous takes he has on things and some of the hypocrisies and nastiness and vindictiveness, I just was like, yeah, I really don't need this guy in my life anyway, shape or form.
Yeah, it's sad to say that because I've had some volatile times with him. Like there's been times, at least 3 times, where he just didn't talk to me. One of them being, I helped someone out. Somebody that did something bad to him. I let him stay in my apartment. He lost it on me with that.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realize what the person did. The person stole from him, and it was an intern that worked with us. The kid got arrested because he stole a lot of money from John, and then about 10 years later, the kid showed up at a place I used to work at, this restaurant, Brunelli's in Manhattan. And he showed up and I felt bad. He was going to sleep in the subway. I let him sleep on my couch. And then Ganji saw him on the couch and went in and said, "Oh, guess who was on our couch this morning, John?"
Oh, shit.
It was blah, blah, blah. And I got a phone call and he told me a new asshole. And then I remember I saw him outside his Scores one night and he was like, he gave it to me like, "Get out of my face, you fucking." And I didn't know the guy. I did it innocently, just trying to help somebody.
Right. Yeah.
And then another time when I went on Shuli's show. God bless Shuli. I love Shuli. I think I'm doing his show
great.
Friday morning. So Shuli always at K-Rock would, every time I was not K-Rock, I'm sorry, it's Sirius, went out of his way to interview me in the hallway for Howard 100 News. He always asked if there's anything he could do. Shuli's been nothing but good to me over the years. And in appreciation for that, when he asked me to come on his show and John asked me not to, I went on anyway. And I went on specifically to say to Shuli, when it started to get, this is at the beginning of the Dabbleverse, the Uncle Rico show, I went on anyway. And when it started to turn to, John as the subject, I vehemently denied doing it. And I said, I didn't come on here to bash John.
Right. That's your prerogative, of course.
Yeah. And he's not going to dictate what I can and cannot do.
Exactly.
As a friend, I went on to make sure that I said to Shuli politely, I said, if this is what you think I'm on here for, I'm going to bow out as a gentleman and say, thank you for having me on. And Shuli respected that. But then I got a phone call and it wasn't pleasant. And then, but he got over that. And then we started talking again. And now everything, even over the years, I was like, the little brother that just the big brother always sort of bullied kind of. And now for the first time, I can honestly say that John has been treating me like an equal as a person for the first time.
Well, maybe not after this show.
Yeah.
He's
I'm not seeing anything that hasn't already been out there.
No. And
I will say that I consider him a friend. I don't care what everybody else thinks, especially in this universe.
I get you, man. And look, out of respect for you, I wouldn't just come on here and just start shitting on him in any way but to discuss what you brought up. Like, I'm not just going to be, oh, fuck that guy, he's an asshole. Out of respect for you, it's your show. We've got other stuff we could talk about, but the hypocrisy of telling anyone who they can and can't, should or shouldn't have on their show, or even have as a friend or a working relationship. And we've seen this over the course of the years. Like, I'm not saying shit here that isn't absolutely documented over the course of John's history and his history with certain people. There is a hypocrisy there when it comes to, hey, I don't mind whoever you're friends with. You could do shows out of mind. And then you do a show. And like you said, you get that phone call or you get him on his show saying horrific things about people.
He has said some horrific things about me. They weren't very nice. But
Grillo, let me tell you, this used to happen, and it still does to this day, to some respect. Reddit is like toxic, man.
Yeah, I've never been
And
on there.
it's best just not go. But you talk about family members and whatnot. My brother would, he's a musician. He would book gigs, and they would get on Reddit and post where he was going to be, and post. They would email the club owner and say, "This is a racist white supremacist." My brother, and he would lose gig. There were gigs that he would lose. That is reaching into the real world from this, what is supposedly, not supposed to affect your real life. And the family thing, I get it to a point. When you got someone like John, who, like you said, you've experienced some of his wrath when he comes after you verbally. And the thing about family and kids, especially, he's definitely got he gets angry when people talk about his kids. Well, why would they talk about him then? Because he's made other people so fucking angry that they're compelled to do stuff to make him angry.
Yeah.
To do that. It escalates. And another thing I have to say, and this might not be the most PC thing, but in a world, coming from a world like the Howard Stern show and all the comics that we used to have on O&A and everything, can you think of a better topic to rag on someone than having a child that turned transgender when you were a guy who would bust people's balls? It's gonna come up. People aren't nice with their jokes and humor about things like that. They just, cutting humor. I'm sure if John was on any roast worth its own weight, everyone would have made a joke about that.
Yeah. Oh, I just, before, is there something that would ever happen that you would be friends with him again, shake his hand, or is it just that's it?
No, that ship has sailed. Like I said, it's not
right
even.
Now we have Stuttering John. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't mind. Like, I won't be friends with him. I won't shake his hand.
I wouldn't set him up like that. I wouldn't set you up like that. What I heard, you gave him a pretty good introduction before he went on stage.
Yeah.
And now, what was your take on? He said that he was victorious by reading your police report. And I had spoken to him before, and he said that he was going to go and do his stand-up, which I thought would have been a great idea if he just would have stuck it up everybody's hand and been funny. But he said that he thought about it, and this was one of his game plans. He was just going to read your police report. And he feels that he was vindicated and victorious by that. How do you feel about that?
He's, he was manipulated by people that he surrounds himself with. And because I honestly believe, look, we delivered about 175 people into that club for Stuttering John Melendez. In order to maybe give you a little insight, the next day in Jersey, I think there were 20 people in the audience, and they looked like they were loaded into one of those retirement home vans and brought to a real live stand-up show. So, we delivered those people, and they were Dabbleverse people, and they know John's act because it's the same act from 30 years ago, and people have seen clips of it and videos of it. And I was also included in this, waiting for some of the famous bits. I mean, nowadays when Dice does the rhymes, right? People yell out the rhymes that he does, and they don't feel like they're getting ripped off. They love it. And if John would have done that, he insists that there was no way he was winning the crowd over. Well, yeah, they're still going to goof on him as the village idiot, as I like to call him. But that would have been the best way to handle a crowd like that. They would have been cheering at the famous squeegee bit and all the other bits that everyone knows are staples of John's act. To think that he was somehow going to read my police report, which I talked about ad nauseum when it happened.
It wasn't like he dug it up and shocked you and
No.
everybody there. So I don't know the whole background to this. So this is kind of
Yeah.
I thought when by him doing that, he was like fucking you hard because nobody knew the police report or no one's ever read it before.
It was done so many times when it happened. You're talking like a dozen years ago. And I talked about it the next day on my show. I talked about the arrest. I talked about as much as I could of the actual situation because lawyers always tell you to shut up. And then for this next few years, I brought it up. I talked about the rehab thing and the anger management courses and how funny that was. And they're showing me videos of sexist people. And I'm seeing Dice and Louis C.K. and Gilbert in this video that this woman is showing. And all I'm thinking is it's probably not good if some of your friends are on the what not to do in a anger management class. So this was something I had spoken about in great detail. I left nothing out about Danny Brand and her father, Vinny Brand. And I actually got a call from Vinny Brand telling me like, yeah, she, I feel bad for you that this happened because he was kind of used to the kind of girl she was. And it's so long ago, I'm not even going to try to shit on her or
I can
anything.
say one thing. Sounds like fun. So you guys, you're pretty close with Gino and Keanu, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, someone said that there was like some type of tension or criticism because Gino speaks the world of you, and someone was like, you should bring up Gino because they're having some problems. But I don't get that vibe from Gino.
No, the thing with Gino is a lot of Dabbleverse people hate him. Some Dabbleverse people love him. And I've never let that determine who I'm friends with. I'm friends with people that I'm also friends with other people that hate the other person I'm friends with. It's what it is. But Gino's always been such a fun guy to hang out with. He's an animal. And, we went through our time of drinking a fuckload. He still does. I try not to, although last night for St. Patty's Day, I really overdid it. But I love when I go up to New York to every month or so, I go up to do the show from the ABC studios. And I hook up with Gino. We go to Sullivan's, grab some beers, and laugh our fucking asses off. So I have no fucking problems with Gino.
Oh, all right, cool. I like to hear that because him and Keanu have been like super nice to me. Pat Dixon and Gino hate each other, but Anthony,
Yeah. I like Pat.
Yeah.
I don't agree with some stuff Pat did in the past. I actually had to let Pat go from Compound Media because my bosses, not my bosses, the people that were my bosses at Compound Media, the people running things like Keith the Cop and our lawyers said that I would be held liable if anything else ever happened where there was more violence and I didn't do anything about the violence that occurred between Pat and Gino. So I had to let him go, but there was no animosity there. And I'm still friends. I'm going to Hackamania in Vegas. April 10th, 11th, and 12th. My brother's going, Poker Mikey Cuffs. And it's going to be a blast to hang out with people, play fucking blackjack in Vegas for a few days.
Yeah, somebody wants to know who is more delusional, John or Steel Toe?
Oh God, I because of shows like Uncle Rico, because I do Uncle Rico. I did it last night. I was fucking lit from St. Patty's Day. I went on, had a great time with those guys. But I know a lot more of the little idiosyncrasies and things about John. And I think John is more unintentionally funny than Steel Toe is. I find Steel Toe kind of pathetic when he, not that I don't find John pathetic in some instances, but Steel Toe is just like, it's the constant begging for I call it digital panhandling because it's just, you might as well be a street beggar asking people for money. What are you giving them in return? They should want to give you money because you're entertaining them or being compelling or interesting, whatever it is. And John unintentionally gives you that by just being this guy that you cannot believe is a real person. He's so out of his mind. So yeah, as far as delusion goes, John, No
Oh,
doubt. John believes it is 1998 and he is on the top of the world with the Stern Show.
he was.
I know,
That was
but
a
it's 2026 now, Grillo. That old song, "What Have You Done For Me Lately?"
yeah. I hear it in my head. Here's someone ask if Whackbag, FBA, and Stern Fan Network was the Dabbleverse of 20 years ago.
Yeah, me and Opie actually had a lot of discussions about that, and other people that were involved with the O&A show about the pests. It started out with the O&A pests. These were fans of the show, uber fans. And if we asked of them to destroy another radio show's Facebook pages, social media presence, they would do it. And they were vicious. And then, like the great Frankenstein monster, they turn on you. And all of these websites and message boards and stuff started popping up. And they were just ruthless with us. And again, some family members, and posting things that were just insane. And it took a long time for me to be able to just ignore it and not look anymore. Like every day I'd have to look and go, I'm just going to look and see what they're saying about this. And then you find yourself trying to do damage control, and it just makes shit worse. So yeah, the pests turned into that. And the Dabbleverse is kind of, an offshoot of that.
Wow. So it's kind of like hard to. I wanted to ask what happened with Compound Media, because you had some sweet setup there. Was it COVID that put a nail in that, or?
No, I think it was just the model, the financial model, and the way it worked wasn't viable anymore. I mean, we had a shitload of subscribers. I still have those subscribers with Compound Censored. Like I just did my show from 4:30 to 6 this afternoon, and it goes out to those same subscribers we had at Compound Media. The thing is, paying an on-air staff, all the various shows, that was a good model when I first started it in about 2014, whatever it was. It became obsolete, and no podcast network really does that anymore because it's not financially viable. You will put shows on, you will let them promote their YouTube pages. They can go on and do super chats and other ways to generate revenue where I don't have to shell money out like I did.
Yeah.
And the overhead became very expensive. The bandwidth charges were tens of thousands of dollars a month just to put all that material live out there, to have that library of, a dozen years of material stored somewhere. It just became, like I said, financially not feasible. So I had to, improvise, adapt, and overcome. And I merged with Censor.tv and Gavin McInnes. And now we run it, and it's financially viable. And we're doing very well, knock wood, and love it.
I recently heard from somebody that heard from a friend of ours. I was wondering if you heard from that person as well. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Artie.
Oh, Artie Lange.
Yeah.
I hear stories about him that he's doing well. The fact that he hadn't been arrested again because he had to piss clean, they would have locked him back up. And since he didn't get locked up, I assume he was pissing clean. I know he was living in Florida with his mom for a while. I don't know where he's living now, but I've heard stories. I've seen some short video clips that he's doing very well. I haven't spoken with him or texted or anything in quite some time, but he, Artie, he's amazing. So funny. And another guy that you would think would garner resentment and fuck this guy, and we all gave him so many chances, but you talk about a sympathetic, beloved character that is fucked up relentlessly over the course of his life, but still people like him. It's such a drastic difference from John, who, like I said, just garners resentment and hate.
What happened with that dude outside the club? Like I got like mixed stories. If you don't want to
Oh,
talk, you don't have to. But like,
no, it's what it is.
People fucking run their mouth. Like, if you want to talk about that and get it straight,
It's what it is. The fucking guy comes up with a camera, gets right in my face. I came out because Brennan was outside, and me and Brennan have sort of a tumultuous little business relationship back in the day.
Right? Yeah.
What's that?
He was on your network, wasn't he?
Yeah. Funny guy. I think Kevin's very funny. And he was out there, so I came out to say hi, shake his hand, and have a little chit chat. And this fucking guy comes out of nowhere with a camera right in my face, like here, and starts calling me a pedophile and a piece of shit and a scumbag. And I look at, I'm like, who are you? Like, who the fuck are you? What is this? Why you just come up to someone, camera in the face, and start shit talking? So he wouldn't stop. Scumbag this, camera in my face. So I reacted in a very reasonable, balanced way. I grabbed his glasses off his face and smashed him on the ground and walked away. Fuck you. That's how guys are supposed to handle shit.
Well, you know what the problem with these assholes is that they never got a fucking fat lip in their life. That's the problem.
That's exactly it, man. That is exactly
it. I don't get that. And the pedophile thing, what people have been saying that shit. Fucking, that's sort of not. It's not a good label to have. What the fuck's out of it?
It's not a good label. Thank God I've been canceled so many times, and for so
I heard
long.
You were on Epstein Island. What's up,
Grillo? Yeah, you'd think I was. It goes back to the whole thing that I've always had girlfriends that were quite a few years younger than me, but all within legal age.
Yeah.
But the jokes we would make on the air and the jokes the comics would make, especially Norton, would present me in the light of a Chester Mutter type. Yeah. And that's kind of that was kind of the joke, Jimmy was the gay guy. He'd go out and get his escorts and stuff. I was going out with girls that were, 12. That was what everyone would say. Meanwhile, the girls in their 20s. Maybe there was one that was, I guess, 18. But hey, we're all within the boundaries of the law.
I saw
they just, again, when Reddit started posting shit about me and my brother and my sister, they would just blatantly lie, pull shit out of their ass. And that became the truth. And that's what spread around. And that's why people say it. And, for the most part these days, I don't even try to defend it. It's just, whatever.